cyber war, bringing down the electrical grid, even sabotaging weapon systems. Well, it's the next frontier. The U.S. government is worried war will be waged and has made cybersecurity a national security priority as a result. But now agencies are launching programs like the Perfect Citizen to track cyber threats, but they could be used to spy. And bills are floating around Congress that could give the president the power to shut down the internet. So is the real threat to people's privacy and civil liberties? Well, radio host Alex Jones joins me with more. I'm sure he'll have plenty to say on this subject. Alex, now you argue that cybersecurity actually has nothing to do with protecting the infrastructure of the U.S., as officials have suggested a war could be waged on. It has everything to do actually with taking over the internet. How do you figure?
Well, first off, thanks for having me here. We were well aware of this cybersecurity plan a decade ago when they began building these giant NSA snooping hubs, and then Bush accelerated the program despite the fact that Congress hasn't passed it into law. It's already in place, and it's to phase us into Internet 2, where everything is surveilled. The FCC here in the U.S. has said that they're going to track everything that you do on your computer and block things from your access. And so this is extremely Orwellian. I mean, even mainstream news in the United States has headlines like, "Is the NSA's Perfect Citizen the ultimate spying tool?" So it's not my opinion. I have analyzed both the legislation and these grids, these huge NSA centers that they've built all over the country, where they're basically forcing all the internet service providers to wire their main systems through the government. And then they use the red herring of, oh my gosh, somebody will bring down our power grid. Someone will shut down our nuclear power plants. Someone will hack into our B-2 bombers. The power plants, the B-2 bombers, they are not hooked in to the internet. Those facilities have internet access, but their main grids are not hooked into the internet. There's been some talk about doing it, but they shouldn't be.
But
so really, this is
Alex, there have been real attacks on electric grids in other countries. There are reports from intelligence officials that have been confirmed that in Brazil, back in 2005 in Rio de Janeiro, and then later in 2007, there were major attacks that led to blackouts that affected millions of people. Officials believe this is a real threat. So what would you be doing? What's the solution?
Well, the point I'm trying to make is that we have Senator Lieberman saying he wants Chinese-style power to, quote, shut the internet off. We have Cass Sunstein, the White House regulations czar, saying restrict people like myself from criticizing man-made global warming and saying it's a fraud, for restricting 9/11 truthers from having our views. Just 2 days ago, Facebook deleted our official account. There's still fan sites out there for now, but we're seeing a lot of those fan sites now being deleted, and the proof's up on prisonplanet.com. We just posted an article minutes ago about that. And we do see these calls by different federal agencies to tax alternative media and blogs to, quote, fund a government megaphone through old line broadcast television and print media. So this is really a cover. I'm not saying that there couldn't be some hacking threats and aren't some malicious groups out there, but I'm also concerned about our own government or corporations launching cyber attacks against themselves as a pretext to shut down the internet. The truth is, Obama's approval rating, as I predicted a year and a half ago, has fallen to an all-time low of 40%.
But that has to do with the economy. I mean, numerous accounts from both sides say that. I mean, 7 out of 10 Americans don't think the economy is getting any better or staying the same. I mean, what do you think cybersecurity has to do with its approval ratings? Oh, shut down criticism. Sure. I'm
saying they want to shut down the speech. I mean, Australia is trying to pass, quote, Chinese-style net censorship. In England, I have 2 guys that work for me in England, the Watsons, and on, quote, free government broadband, but taxpayers pay for it, but they call it free. You can't get on my websites. We're being censored already everywhere, and even congressmen are saying that the cybersecurity plan is a cover to surveil the internet and to curtail it. The FCC is announcing they want to censor the web. This is the grid to do it. And so, sure, they can claim it's to protect the internet, you know, quote, shut down the internet to protect it. The issue is they are sending up trial balloons to start really restricting free speech worldwide using the Chinese oppressive authoritarian model, and we're seeing censorship everywhere intensify. We're seeing Google, running around all over Europe and the United States and England, trawling for people's wireless internet communications. I mean, that's supposedly illegal for the government to do, but Google's doing it, and it's come out that Google is deep in bed with the National Security Agency. So what we're seeing is Big Brother say, oh, I want to censor you. I want to control you for your own good. I mean, even the New York Times is calling for a kindler, gentler internet. So all
Never
of us
thought I'd hear you side with the mainstream media on that one, but I just want to really ask what you think then is the solution. If cyber war is the next chapter, the next frontier where war is going to be waged, the internet is the means to do that, to do things like shut down the power grid, to even sabotage weapon systems, then what is the U.S. to do to protect against that? Maybe some of these means are necessary in order to be able to protect national security if it is this threat. What would you do?
Let me give you the solution. It may be hooked up to the internet in Brazil, but the critical main systems of our nuclear power plants and coal-fired plants and the traffic light systems are not hooked up to the internet. They're on their own internal systems, and we do not need those to be wired into the internet. This is asinine. We have separate private and government networks for this. And I've interviewed top experts in cybersecurity, and they say this is a red herring. My whole point about quoting the mainstream media is that they're not even denying it. This is an admitted fact, and we need to not have critical infrastructure hooked into the internet. That is the solution. Don't hook critical infrastructure to the web and then use that as an excuse to take our free speech. We need more free speech with all this growing tyranny, not less. And the system knows that and knows the people are waking up, so they're panicking and openly coming out on other fronts and saying they want to start shutting down free speech.
Alex, it's an interesting point. Really quickly, who stands to benefit from the cybersecurity measures that the administration is taking if they're not as warranted as you believe?
Well, that is a wonderful point. If you search the term Internet 2, going back a decade, that's a consortium of top universities, the Fortune 100, and governments in Europe, in England, the U.S., Australia, and a few other nations, kind of the echelon group of countries, as I have dubbed them, the Anglo-American establishment. They are going to basically hand the web over to a few global corporations through this type of neo-fascism to where they are going to regulate and control the internet for the government. And so this is these select corporations being given basically control over the future infrastructure and blueprints of the future web, and it gives them an unfair trade advantage over not just individuals and other companies, but other governments. This is an attempt to weaponize the internet by the establishment and use it as a tool of control and surveillance worldwide.
All right, that was Alex Jones, radio host, with his thoughts on cybersecurity and the threat of cyber warfare, what's really behind the administration's efforts.